I was driving cross-country alone. The kind of trip you take when you don't really want to think too much. Long highways, empty stretches of land, and hours of nothing but the radio and your own thoughts. By the time the sun went down, I was exhausted, and my phone signal had been cutting in and out for miles. I wasn't picky, I just needed a bed. That's how I ended up at the motel. It sat off a nearly abandoned highway exit, one of those places that looked like it had survived by being forgotten. The sign flickered missing letters, the word motel buzzing softly in the dark. The parking lot was cracked and uneven, with only one other car parked near the office. I told myself places like this still existed everywhere, and that I was being dramatic because I was tired. The office smelled like dust and old carpet cleaner. Behind the counter was an older man watching a small television with the volume turned low. He didn't look surprised to see me, which felt strange considering how empty the road had been. I asked for a room, he nodded, barely glancing up, and slid a key across the counter. "Room 12, he said. I asked if there were any others available, mostly out of habit. He paused just a little too long before saying, "That's the one." Room 12 was at the far end of the building. As I walked toward it, I noticed something unsettling. Most of the other rooms looked unused, curtains drawn tight, some windows boarded from the inside. A few doors had numbers missing entirely. My footsteps echoed louder than they should have, like the place was amplifying sound just to remind me how alone I was. Inside, the room was normal. Too normal. Clean bed, folded towels, no dust on the surfaces. It felt less like an abandoned motel and more like a room waiting patiently for someone. I locked the door, set my bag down, and sat on the edge of the bed, finally letting my body relax. That's when I heard footsteps outside. Slow, careful, not passing by, stopping in front of my door. I froze, listening. After a moment, the steps moved on. I told myself it was the other guest, maybe going for ice or a smoke. Still, I checked the peephole. The walkway was empty. Later, trying to sleep, I heard movement again, this time inside the walls. Not scratching, not scurrying. Footsteps, like someone walking the length of the hallway, but muted, distant, wrong. Every time they reached the end, they stopped, right behind the wall at the head of my bed. I didn't sleep much. Sometime after 3 a.m., I heard knocking. 3 slow knocks. Firm, confident. I didn't answer. I couldn't. The knocking came again, closer somehow, even though it was clearly on the door. A voice followed, quiet, almost polite. "Front desk, just checking in." I stayed silent until the footsteps walked away. When morning finally came, pale and gray, I packed up fast and went straight to the office to check out. The old man was there again, same position, same low television volume. I slid the key across the counter and said I'd had a rough night. He nodded. People usually do in 12. I asked him what he meant. He finally looked at me, really looked at me. "That room hasn't been vacant in years. We just keep it ready." I left without asking anything else. Months later, curiosity got the better of me. I searched the motel online. There were no listings, no reviews, no website. But buried in an old local forum was a post from years ago, someone asking about strange noises in a roadside motel room. Room 12. The post ended with one reply. "If you stayed the night, it means the room wanted you. Be glad it let you leave."
I've always been drawn to old libraries. The smell of leather, dust, and paper stacked high in endless rows. It's the kind of place where time feels suspended. That night, I was visiting a small college town for a conference. The main library had closed hours ago, but I noticed a small side entrance slightly ajar. Curiosity got the better of me. I figured I'd just peek inside, maybe grab a quiet corner to organize notes before heading back to my hotel. The moment I stepped in, the air changed. It was cooler than the night outside, but not uncomfortable. There was an odd stillness, almost too perfect, as if the building itself was holding its breath. The lights were dim, and the only sound was my footsteps on the worn wooden floor. I didn't see anyone else. I told myself I must have imagined the door being open and that someone else was working late. I wandered between the shelves, scanning the spines. Every book looked old, well-worn, carefully preserved. Then I realized I could hear soft noises, whispers, but no one was around. The whispers were faint, just beyond understanding, almost like a language I didn't know. My stomach tightened, but I rationalized it. Maybe it was the wind through the old building, some creaking of the structure. I kept walking deeper into the library when I noticed something unusual. A door I didn't remember seeing before, slightly recessed between two shelves. It was a small wooden door, no signage, just a brass knob that reflected the dim light. Against my better judgment, I opened it. Inside was a tiny room, almost like a study, lined with books from floor to ceiling. A single desk sat in the center with a chair facing away from me. Papers were stacked neatly, but everything seemed deliberate, almost ceremonial. I felt the hair on my neck rise. As I stepped closer, I heard a faint creak behind me. I turned, but the door I came through had disappeared. The shelves were continuous now. Panic started to creep in. I tried the other doors, windows, anything, but the exits were gone. The whispers grew louder, more coherent. They weren't random. They were calling my name. Every syllable deliberate, dragging the sound of my name out in a way that made my chest tighten. I ran down the aisles, trying to retrace my steps, but every turn led me back to the small room. The desk chair had turned slightly, as if someone or something had been sitting there, watching. I tried to breathe, tried to calm myself. The whispers became words. "You shouldn't be here. We've been waiting." Hours could have passed, or minutes. I have no sense of time. Eventually, I stumbled across a stack of books that seemed misplaced. Pushing them aside revealed the original side door. I didn't stop to think, I just ran through it and slammed it shut behind me. Outside, the street was empty, the night quiet, as if nothing had happened. I returned to the hotel, heart racing, and tried to rationalize the experience. The next morning, I went back to the library. The side door was locked tight. I asked the librarian about any small rooms tucked away inside. She looked at me with confusion. Nothing like that exists here, not even room 12. I've never stepped foot inside a library at night again. But sometimes, when I hear pages rustling or whispers in the distance, I feel that same cold pull, like the building itself remembers me, still waiting.
I didn't notice the first voicemail right away. It sat there unnoticed for almost a week, buried under spam calls and automated reminders. I only found it because I was clearing space on my phone late one night, half asleep, scrolling without really looking. The timestamp said it was left at 2:41 a.m. on a Tuesday. I was certain I'd been asleep at that time. The voicemail was only 8 seconds long. It was silent at first, just the faint sound of breathing. Then a voice whispered my name. My name. Not shouted, not rushed, said carefully, like someone standing very close to the phone. I laughed it off at first. Pocket dial, prank. Maybe I'd rolled onto my phone in my sleep. Still, something about the breathing stuck with me. It sounded awake. The next voicemail arrived 2 nights later. This one was longer, about 30 seconds. It started with the same breathing, but this time I could hear background noise, a low hum like traffic far away, maybe a refrigerator motor. Then my voice spoke. I shouldn't have answered it. I felt cold all over. It wasn't a recording I recognized. It wasn't distorted or edited. It was my voice exactly as I hear it in my own head, tired and slightly hoarse. The message ended abruptly, like the call had been cut off. I checked the call details. Unknown number. No callback option. I didn't sleep that night. I started checking my phone constantly. Every vibration made my stomach tighten. I turned on all the lights in my apartment, locked the doors, checked the windows twice. Everything was normal. Too normal. No signs of anyone else being there. No missing time. No outgoing calls in my history. The third voicemail arrived while I was awake. My phone buzzed at 2:41 a.m. exactly, same time as the first. I stared at the screen, heart pounding, watching the notification appear in real time. I didn't answer. I let it ring out. When it stopped, the voicemail icon appeared instantly, like it had been waiting. This one was over a minute long. My voice again, but closer this time, quieter. I was whispering urgently, like I was afraid of being overheard. I described my apartment in detail. The couch, the crooked picture frame I kept meaning to straighten, the way the hallway light flickered if you didn't screw the bulb in tight enough. Details no one else would know. Then I said, "If you're hearing this, it means I didn't fix it." At that point, I turned my phone off completely. The next morning, I went to my carrier store. They told me the calls weren't coming through their network at all. No origin point, no tower data. It was like the voicemails had been created directly on my device. They suggested a factory reset. I did it right there at the counter. For a while, things were quiet. No calls, no messages. I started sleeping again. I told myself stress had gotten to me, that I'd imagined the voice similarities, that fear can make your brain fill in gaps you don't want to see. Almost believed it. Then I found the fourth voicemail. It was dated 3 days in the future. I didn't open it right away. I sat on my bed staring at the timestamp, my pulse loud in my ears. When I finally pressed play, I was shaking. The message was short, just one sentence. "I'm running out of time." In the background, I could hear something new, my apartment door opening. I dropped the phone and ran to the hallway. The door was still locked. The chain was in place. Nothing had changed. I checked every room, every corner. Nothing. No one. Silence. That night, I didn't stay home. I drove until sunrise, parked in a crowded lot, and slept in my car. When I checked my phone in the morning, there was one final voicemail, time-stamped at 2:41 a.m. I almost deleted it without listening. Almost. My voice sounded calmer this time, resigned. "You're doing the right thing," it said. I stayed. That's where I messed up. The message ended with slow breathing, and then a click. I changed my number that day, moved apartments a month later. I don't answer unknown calls anymore. I don't keep my phone near my bed at night. Still, sometimes, when everything is quiet and the clock creeps towards 2:41 a.m., I swear I can feel my phone vibrating, recording something I haven't said yet.